Let me try not to pull a chase.
Yeah, don't pull a chase. Ready? Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the 505 Podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode. We got a fun one today because it's just the biggest rocks in all the land. We stay holding it down. Cut a little bit of fat on the pod.
We have a third co-host named Chase, and he's not here today.
He just died. He just got bored and didn't want a pod. We'd have a really epic pod, so we replaced him with an even better guest.
Yeah,
ladies and gentlemen, I want you to welcome to the stage Aidan Minton. Aidan is from Columbus, Ohio, and he's a filmmaker and photographer who has ventured out to Los Angeles, and he's finishing up his degree right now, and he fucking blew off an essay to come and be on the pod, which is legendary. And we appreciate you. We appreciate you making time for us. And dude, welcome to the show. We're really hyped to have you.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm glad to be here. It's sick.
So the way this came about is me and Aidan literally met yesterday. We were on a boat. Yeah. We had been following each other for a minute on Instagram, and we have a mutual friend named Derek, and he was like, you guys should for sure meet. Aidan came up to me yesterday on the boat. He was like, yo, nice to meet you. And I was like, what's good, bro? And then we got to talking for like 5 minutes, and I was like, what are you doing tomorrow? And do you want to be on our podcast? Because you're sick. I love your content, and I think you'd be a cool guest. So thanks for coming, bro.
Dude, of course.
Super short.
I think I'm really excited though, because I don't know a ton about you, and we're gonna learn a bunch about you today.
Even better. That's good. Exactly. That's good. More
also,
genuine.
I will say, I still think about the fact that I just don't have homework. We don't have homework like ever again. And I think it's the sickest. I used to hate Sundays when you're like, you're just like either hungover from going out
hitting the
or
lib
like,
and just getting wrecked.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So I'm really sorry that you're going through that right now, but you're almost done.
It's all good. It's all good. It'll be over soon.
I have one question for you though on the school side before we like hop into this.
Yeah.
Because you're going to, is it film school technically?
Technically film school. Yeah.
Okay. Do you feel like because we're both college grads, do you feel like that you've learned more being in school or being out here in LA and just like meeting people and like actually working? I'm just very curious on your perspective.
I mean, hands down, I think definitely on LA. I mean, experience personal firsthand will like always be the best.
Okay.
There's only so much you can learn in a classroom. And I mean, there's some things I don't even know. I definitely, the personal experience.
Do you
hand
think
down?
Do you think though, because like that, I agree with you on that, but my other side of it is do you think that the networking that you've had in college was really beneficial to you or not? Because you're in a weird spot because it was online and whatnot.
It's hard because I had some really great opportunities come from my network in college that I would never have thought. But that's not necessarily because of film school. That's just because of like
who you are.
Maybe. I mean, or just like who I knew at the time. But directly correlated to like film school, probably not.
Wow.
I mean, today's age, I think social media has made it so easy to know your network you need to be tapped into.
Has the whole time you've been going to school online, or was there a time that you went to the school physically?
No, yeah. So I was in school for the first 2 years, pretty much all the way through. I took a semester off for work, had a really cool opportunity. I was on tour for a little bit. So
nice.
Yeah, that was super sick.
Who were you on tour with?
It was a group called Social House. I don't know if you've heard of them.
I feel like I have.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. They sing like Magic in the Hamptons. They've got some bangers. Yeah. They were open up for Ariana, so it was like a massive tour.
Oh, you were on that tour?
Yeah.
The
Sweetener World Tour.
The arena tour that they were going on.
Holy shit.
Yeah. So I was like literally first day back in school, I put in like a leave of absence, and I was like, I'm peacing.
Oh
That's
my God.
Good reason to fucking
yeah.
I think that you think you made the right call.
Yeah.
How was that? How was being on an arena tour? That's just I can't even fathom.
It was my first experience on tour.
Really?
Oh, wow.
Had you shot like concert stuff before?
Yeah, a couple here and there, but I mean, that's like it's most consistent, every night. Every couple of nights.
Yeah.
I mean, it was insane. It's like that's the dream, right? That's like the goal of shooting shows.
I've yet to do a full tour. Did you learn anything on tour that advice to a kid who potentially, I'll probably go on a tour at some point.
Yeah.
Or kids that it's funny. I got a DM literally like a couple of days ago from a kid being like, yo, I'm about to go on tour. Is there any advice you would give to me? And I was like, dude, I only do weekend shows. I haven't gone on a full tour. So I would love to know from your perspective of going on a full on arena tour with one of the fucking
biggest artists of our
yeah.
generation. Yeah.
I'd say the stamina maybe to like have creativity on like the shows is like huge. You don't really think about it. You're shooting the same show every time.
Yeah.
And maybe after a week or two, like it gets kind of old. Not old, but like the shots look the same. It's the same thing, you know, everything. So you have to change up the lenses, the shots. Like you got to be super creative in how you're like documenting. And then I guess just maybe something it's not thought of as much as maybe just like the relationships of the people behind the scenes is like the biggest thing. That's probably the biggest.
Could you speak a little bit on like different lenses that you maybe brought, and like what did you bring that you were like, ooh, this really hit tonight, or like,
and like what kind of gear do you use?
Because I feel that's so hard of like using like I shoot sports and we shoot the same game, and like we talked about, there's 82 fucking games, so
that's
it's like
insane.
To try and make it different every time is such a struggle. And I feel like I tried. This was my first year that I feel like I did get different stuff.
Nice.
Last year it was like I literally felt like we were just in a hamster wheel of like going to the game, okay, shots, okay, go home, bye, you know?
Right.
So this year I really tried, like you said, to bring different lenses, try new apertures, like all kinds of shit.
Yeah.
So what did you do on tour?
Yeah, I switched the lenses. I didn't really have too much to work with. I had like a 70 to 200 that I loved. That was great. Like super close up because I couldn't like be on stage. I had to be like kind of down under.
I just got a 7200 and I've been loving the shots.
It's great, right? It's my favorite lens, bro. Yeah, so good. 16 to 35, and then I had a 35 1.4, which
so
was
you had a little
nice.
like nice variety.
I had a great variety.
Yeah.
I like that you're either mad wide at 16 to 35 or super
super close.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's I like that style.
Me too.
It's like in the middle is kind of
exactly
weird.
Like make a decision, go wide.
Right.
No, but seriously,
yeah, totally.
But going back to your original question, was it you said so after tour I came back to school. And
how long was the tour?
It was about 3 months. Actually, so there was 9 months of the tour, but I was on the third leg. She did one leg in the US, another leg in Europe, and then the third leg I was in the US.
Dude, I can't.
So it was about a month and a half, 2 months.
I'm tired off of just a weekend. Like literally.
Nah, it was awesome. It was great.
Were you living on a tour bus?
Yeah, we did stop at hotels, but some days we'd just be on the bus full time.
Were you just shooting Social House, or did you get to shoot Ariana as well?
No, I didn't get to shoot Ariana, but there were talks I was going to, but it was towards the end and didn't want to push it.
Sure.
But yeah, no, Social House was great. It was awesome.
Nice.
They're legends. I mean, I'm still like super close with them today. So.
How do you still shoot with them? Like
here and there, we like I'll do some stuff with them. I definitely want to do some stuff with them in this coming year. I don't have a lot of time right now to like, I don't know, like home stretch of school, baby. After that, I'll definitely be down to like
3 weeks left of
3
senior
weeks
year.
left. Let's go.
I'm ready for you to be done. I think you'll just be like, just the biggest weight lifted off your shoulders.
I can't wait.
I do want to touch on though balancing schoolwork and doing photo video stuff, because a lot of the kids who listen to our podcast are younger, either in like up and coming high school, or most of them are probably in college. Trying to get into photo video or doing it as well. So how has like balancing, because you're obviously doing a ton of work. It's not, I feel like you've gotten a good like kind of grip on your career and like shooting a bunch. So like how has that been balancing work with school and professionally?
Yeah, it's been this past like couple months and this past year as I moved to LA has been probably the most difficult, because I've been like the most amount of classes and it's like full-time school. Like moving to LA didn't help either. Like now I'm in charge of like, all of my rent, like everything, full-time video and full-time school. It's been extremely difficult to manage. Last year I kind of finessed the system. I had like an internship, so to speak, and
that's what I'm talking about.
Was able to like kind of not have to worry about school and was able to like pursue more creative things, which was amazing. But so I didn't really think that as like, oh, this is like normal, because looking back it's like, oh, that's like I had a shit ton of more time because of the way I had put things in order. Was
it almost like you got an internship?
It was an internship with someone I usually work with for freelance, and they like kind of signed off. I hope my teachers won't see this. It won't matter. But like they just signed off. We're like, oh yeah, Aidan's working for me, and I mean I would here and there, but not great. Like full time. So was able to do some other passion projects and some things that would definitely like project my career.
That's great,
as opposed to just doing like boring 9 to 5 work.
When you say passion projects, what does that look like? Because I know that were you like traveling, shooting that kind of content, or was it more so making spec work for work that you kind of wanted to?
Yeah, definitely more spec work. I did a job for, not really a job, it was spec. So it was for my local professional soccer team, like the Columbus Crew. I was talking to you about this yesterday, actually. Yeah. Nice. So this is kind of how I got the job with the national team this past summer. I reached out to the crew. I was like, yo, I have this really great idea. I want to make this video for you guys. You just won the MLS Cup. There's a lot of hype. Like, I have this really cool story idea. Don't even worry about payment. Like, I would love to talk. And I didn't really give too much specificity. You know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Specifications.
Specificity. I didn't want to give too much specifics because, you know, obviously they could run with the idea or whatever. So I was kind of low key on the specifics, but yeah, I pretty much pitched this idea to them, and they were like, yeah, we're not working for any outside work. Like, I'm like, totally fine. I'm not looking for pay at all. Like, would love to I just kind of want approval on the project.
Nice.
And they never got back to me, not anything really. And I had some pretty good connections within like the media team, and you know, I had some players on the team that were friends with me. I'd grown up playing with. I played like all throughout college, obviously. So I had some good connects, and nothing. Like, they were pretty cold. So I made the thing anyways, got some group of guys together and just kind of put something together that I could use whatever I could. Didn't really have any real-time footage, just use like archivable stuff, some 3D work that I could use as like in place of real footage, and then made this thing, and it kind of quote unquote did well for me.
On social?
On social, yeah, a little bit at the time. And yeah, it got around, and the kind of how I got the job with the national team.
So I think that's really important.
Huge.
Yeah, because we tell people all the time, they're like, oh, I don't have an opportunity. And my DM back is always make an opportunity.
Yeah.
Because like you just said, you didn't have a job with them. They ignored you.
They literally said,
It literally was
no.
like,
Yeah.
no, we don't want to do this.
Exactly.
And I was like, kind of like took it personally a little bit.
Yeah.
I was like, you don't even know, bro.
Yeah. You don't know what I'm capable of.
You don't even know. Yeah.
Like Michael Jordan, I took it personally. That's awesome. I think that if you're listening right now, that if you want to make any idea happen, a fucking Nike project or whatever, you just got to go film it.
Yeah.
Get the idea.
Just make it, yeah.
Just write it down and go get your buddies and make it happen.
Yeah, don't wait for the opportunity to present itself. And also, like, if you hear no, fucking fuck that.
Yeah.
Like, if you can't shoot with the actual national team, go make exactly what you want,
right,
some way else,
right,
or with other people, and then finesse your way into the system.
Right.
But that's what you always say, man. You gotta make the work that you want to get hired for.
Yep,
That's
right.
exactly what you did.
There it is.
Yeah.
So now you're working with the national team?
I was over the summer. Not so much as of the moment. I'm doing kind of a similar project at the moment with them that I was doing for the crew.
Oh, fun. Let's
Yeah,
go.
yeah,
Let's go.
again,
That's
so-
awesome. So you've been working on that for a minute now.
Yeah.
Very
and that's
cool.
that's a bigger project.
Yeah.
Okay, I know you probably can't talk about the project, but could you kind of talk me through
Yeah.
just the workflow that goes on in the back end of that? Because I think people would find that really interesting.
Definitely.
Just like
Yeah.
how, you came up with the idea. Did you write it down? Are you a fucking journal guy? Are you an iPad guy? Like, talk me through a little bit about your process for coming up with creative videos.
Yeah. So it started off, honestly, with I wanted to make something for the Gold Cup. They won the Gold Cup. That was when I was with them, like, shooting all the time. And I wanted to, like, have something that I can, put together I'm proud of that represents something that I would have shot and edited, that documents
Beautiful.
the Gold Cup. And then that slowly turned in, and I was like, I don't want to make anything too crazy because, like, I'm going to put all this time into it, and just something that they could see, like, oh, this is what he can really do. Because when I was with them, I was kind of limited on time. It was like quick turnarounds, like very internal work.
Oh, I
Nothing
know.
like
I know how the sports game goes, dude.
Exactly.
They're like, tomorrow. I'm like, it won't be sick if we do it tomorrow.
Facts.
It's
Exactly.
Not, it's
right.
not, that's sick.
Yeah,
Like,
it's
give
like
me
you
a
want
week. Please give me a week and
Right.
we'll make a banger.
Yeah. And so I was kind of limited with time.
What were your deliverables though when working with them? Were you doing photo and video, just video?
Just video.
And you're just like shooting the games and then turning around like edits for social, or?
Yeah, so I would shoot a bunch of the training, and the games honestly were actually shot for me. They had a team that would shoot the games, and I would just get the footage
Just
from the
cut.
games,
You would
and
just
I would
cut.
just edit.
Bang.
How do you like shooting versus editing? Is there one that you prefer? Because you're dirty with the editing.
I think my stronger suit is probably editing, just
Okay.
because there's not really a limit to what you can do when you're editing, but the editing is kind of based on the footage you get.
Totally.
So if it's like specific concept you have in mind that will only work if you shot it, because I don't know, in real time, like when I was getting the footage, it was great when I was like, oh, I could use this as a transition, or I could do this or whatever, versus like I don't know, like they're just kind of shooting what they want to shoot. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
You almost shoot with the edit in mind when
Oh,
you
100%.
shoot the actual
Definitely,
footage.
Yeah. But everyone has a different style.
So you were short on turnaround time.
Short on
didn't have a
turnaround
ton of time.
time. Right.
Process. You're going with give me a little bit of process.
Yeah. So it started off with, I was like, I'm gonna make the sick thing for the Gold Cup, and then as I was like, nah, dude, I can't just like kind of stop there, and like, cause like my initial thought process was, I'll make this thing that's maybe 50% of what I'm capable of, just to like put it in their face with the potential that they could be like, oh, that's pretty sick, would you want to do more or whatever? Or I was like, nah, I could just go 100% all in, balls to the wall, like full send on this thing, and leave like no room for error, and just like have something to show for that will like open up doors further than the national team.
I like that.
Because I mean, posting a video with the national team alone will obviously have like some weight to it, just because of the brand, and
Of course.
Definitely.
yeah, so might as well make the dopest thing possible. And so like you said, the process, it kind of started off as this thing that was like, oh, I'll just do this, something to show what I can do, and then turned into this massive thing that originally I was like, that's not a good idea to do, but I somehow justified like, what else am I gonna do, like what else am I gonna spend my time on, for passion projects, or like, yeah. So it slowly turned into this insane thing that it's like the first project I'm having to delegate creative to.
Very cool.
So I'm directing, I'm editing, doing some VFX, and also delegating VFX. Don't want to get too specific, but delegating other things as well.
Nice, dude.
So very much so first time like having to produce something as well, and see how that works, because obviously this is kind of like, it doesn't have too much of a time stamp on it. There is a little bit, but like in reality, if this was like an actual client that was like hammering me for the deadline, like that's a good note to have, because obviously I'm kind of going at my own pace, whereas like in the real world, if someone were to hire me for this, they'd be like, yo, we need this now. So it's cool to like kind of go through the motions a little bit and get an idea of how this shit works. Talking with different people, like that's probably been the biggest thing, I think.
Nice. What would be like some of your advice for someone who wants to get their foot in the door with sports? Because you sounds like you try to get in with somebody, and then that didn't work, and
Right.
I think that happens a lot. Like you're never,
Definitely.
a lot of the times you're not going to get that first ask, and it takes another knock, or maybe a backdoor situation, like going
Right.
and doing it a different way than actually just fucking hitting apply, because there's 5,000 people that also just hit apply,
Right.
So tell me a little bit about what your advice would be for somebody like that.
Yeah, I mean, when I first, that was my thought. I was like, yo, I really want to make something for the crew, like my home team. And for the most part, I didn't really have anything to show. Like I really was like kind of concerned. I was like, I don't have any reason to get hired for this, genuinely.
Were you
other
shooting-
than like other stuff that I may have shot, which doesn't really necessarily translate.
Were you shooting sports before or no?
Nah, nothing. So that was technically the first sports video I ever made.
Wow. Was the goal?
The crew one was the crew one, and I was like, they have all the right to say no, genuinely. You know what I mean? Like I'm not. It was a little like, it has to be like somewhat of an ego thing. You gotta be, you know what I mean? Of course, let's
definitely.
be real. Like they have no reason to hire me. I have zero portfolio work with any type of sports.
It's funny because Braden has a story of like the one time, or how many concerts have you shot? A few?
And I had shot none at that time when
Yeah.
when they asked me to do that.
And so Braden shot a festival, and he doesn't have any concert footage, but he's like, yo, I chef at football at
that's what I said.
Oregon.
I was like, this is an event. I was like, I could chef at this event. And they're like, dude, they're like all these guys. It was in like a thing on Facebook, I was in like a group chat or whatever, but these guys had posted all these crazy concert reels, like been on tour with like Millennium and like all these crazy dudes. And I was like, DM the guy, and I'm not about to comment my sports video on this shit.
Right.
Like DM the guy, I'm like, yo, I'm like live really close to this, and I never made a concert before, but I can chef a sports video, and I'm assuming it's very similar, dude. And then the guy was like, ballsy comment, man, but like
He respects it.
yeah,
He
but he's
respects
like
the
let's try this out and like see if this could work. And then I did something like really well for them, and he's like, oh, we're just gonna keep feeding you stuff, and they
Nice,
just kept
dude.
dishing me like little like I did something for Lil Yachty
Oh,
for them,
sick.
and like a few I can't even remember the other artists that we did stuff for, but it was really fun. And I was like,
Yeah.
just shot my shot, and just
Dude,
I was like, come
that's
on,
what you gotta
like,
do, right?
I think that like almost that overconfidence in yourself and being like, I'm not gonna mess this up, and when I got up to the plate, I hit a double.
home.
You know, we hit a little base hit.
Nice, dude.
For someone listening, if you're shooting a certain kind of content and you want to change,
you want to pivot.
You want to pivot.
Yeah.
Like, don't underestimate what you're learning shooting one type of content.
Definitely.
Because it all can translate. Like, something you learn shooting sports can translate into shooting concerts and vice versa. Right. Yeah, I think that like anything you learn from shooting any kind of medium is definitely transferable, that you can, and you'll take things that you learn from shooting other stuff and use them while shooting a different kind of medium.
The best thing you can do, I mean, just provide the best value possible is the easiest way to get in the door. And it's like, what does that mean? Well, you have to give the best chance to yourself, whether that is like maybe offering to shoot for free. That's always like the easiest way. Like, I offered to do that video for free.
Who doesn't like free shit?
Who doesn't?
Exactly.
If you know? Yeah, right.
It's literally zero risk.
Zero risk,
right? Which I was so baffled.
Yeah, I know, right?
You have zero.
I've had that happen so many times. I'm like, you're stupid for not.
Right. It's like,
I'm like, I'm nice at this, dude. Like, come on, take my offer. Bro.
I'm literally helping you out.
Yeah, I'm doing a charity favor here to like do this for you.
Yeah. It's kind of hard. I mean, you kind of have to just put yourself in a position where, you know, because not everyone has access to that's the biggest thing, is access. And it's like, well, it's really dependent upon what your like limitations are. For example, like during that video, I didn't have any like shots that I really shot on the field. Everything was either archive footage, just like downloaded from YouTube. I shot one scene in like a random court that looked like a, you know, like a soccer field. Like it was like a really vintage, like, you know, street ball type vibe.
Sick.
That worked. And then everything else was either like just shots of the city that anyone could get, and just VFX and just like
telling a story with the audio and whatnot.
Right, exactly. It's just like compiling a bunch of different assets to make the best thing possible that people would be moved by. And that seemed to work.
I like that, because it's like, just because you don't have access, not everyone's going to be able to go shoot LeBron. Not everyone's going to go be able to shoot
the national team. Yeah.
Don't let that not having access stop you. Tell the best story you can with the footage that you're able to get.
Yeah. I mean, with the internet tonight, you can literally make the things you can make today.
Yeah,
is so insane.
You almost don't. You don't have an excuse.
Not even lying. Like, I'm not like the footage. Like, I shot a lot of stuff with the national team, but the stuff you can make today is almost better. Like, it's just so much more visually appealing, especially to today's audience. Is like, it's preferable from an editing standpoint, because I can really I have every little detail. I can, you know, be super specific, and it's like almost better than like, obviously other than the real-time game footage, but like it's almost preferable than like, what are you gonna go get this perfect shot other than like, you know,
just download it real quick.
Yeah, right, exactly. Someone's already done it.
You said how you posted this video that you made, a spec piece that did really well for you on social and obviously opened doors. I want to talk about a little bit how you've been able to grow your social media following and like how has that played a role into you being able to get work as a filmmaker?
Today's social media, I feel like, has a lot to do with it, but also it doesn't have anything to do with it.
Okay.
Your work obviously will speak for itself. And that's what people hire you. But it's so weird. I feel like today's day and age, obviously you guys know, some people will get hired maybe because they have like a certain amount of followers or whatever. And it's so dumb. And it's such a weird game. I think about it all the time. It's like, if I had, you know what I mean? Like, I think the only thing you can really control is just the work. And that will eventually, you know, the market will decide.
Totally.
I think it's harder to grow today than it was in the past, obviously.
Definitely.
Absolutely.
It's like borderline impossible.
Yeah.
But you have like 22,000 followers on Instagram. So like, how were you able to
go from 0 to 22?
I mean, it definitely took some time.
Was it all like, were you posting hashtagging? Were you like, dude, I remember back when I was trying to fucking grow, like way back, like maybe, I don't know, like 2015, was commenting on I would spend an hour a day commenting on random people's shit. Like, I would just hashtag videography and go leave like a nice comment on someone's fucking page and like a few pics. But see, the problem with that was, and dude, I remember even earlier than that, like before IG was like, no, not before IG was big, but before the videographer scene, I guess, was huge. I was doing the follow thing. But see, there's a huge problem with that. And I think that the kids don't know this nowadays. Is like, that just ruins relationships, because you're not getting the point. I guess the point of a following in today's age, right, would be for social capital, right?
Yeah.
To either sell to the audience something. Okay, totally. But if you're fucking unfollowing people and not building a community, then it's pointless. There's no point to doing that.
If I'm following someone on social media, on specifically Instagram, let's say, and then I go to their profile and then I check, and I know that we're following each other, then I see that they've unfollowed me, I'm hitting unfollow so fast.
Instantaneously.
I don't want to follow someone who.
Well, I guess it depends why you're following them in the first place. You know what I mean?
Definitely.
That's like 100%. The biggest thing.
Yeah.
But it is interesting, and I think it's like very important because, dude, I remember the only reason I wanted to hit 10K so bad was swipe up, and they gave me swipe up, and I was like, bro, I don't give a shit anymore. Now it's like, now I really don't have a reason to like care about the number, and I was so infatuated with the number for so long. And I remember saw some fucking video out there somewhere, and the guy was like, if it was like a definitely a limiting belief that I had. That was like, I'm not getting work because I don't have X amount of followers, is what I thought in my head. And this person, I don't remember who the fuck it was, put out a video and then was like, you're limiting yourself just based off a fucking stupid number that doesn't matter. And I was like,
yeah, that's just it.
That's me, thumbs right here, you know? So I need to like make an adjustment and just post. And then I started just posting whatever I wanted. It was in maybe sophomore year of college. I was just ripping it. Just like, okay, we're no longer like gonna post like fucking club at the frat house in the basement. I'm like, this is a business now, and it's only video stuff. And I think that little shift in my mindset helped me a lot. And I was like, I just started documenting what I was doing, like just as a scrapbook, but only my good stuff, my good work that I was proud of.
Like a portfolio.
Yeah, and then it changed a lot because I was like, oh, then people were hitting me up for work, and I was like, I was a bitch this whole time because I was just too self-conscious about like trying to grow a brand and like, you know, being fake on the fucking internet. And I think that now it's changed a lot.
Yeah. So go back to talking about a little bit, like how were you able at the beginning, you know, to grow
that brand?
I think at the beginning when social was like super in its infancy, I was doing some work with a kid who was at my school. He did a bunch of like soccer content.
Nice.
And he was like huge on just like posting a bunch of content that was like, he had like, I don't know, I think like over like 300K.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
So like that was like super easy for me because I was like his right hand man. I'd film all his stuff. I'd be in the videos. Like that was a quick.
So you feel like his following transferred over to you?
Yeah, we were like a lot of the same brand. That's kind of where I started off, which is kind of weird. I started off in the soccer scene because I played soccer, and so I was doing a bunch of that content and slowly drifted into more just like
lifestyle.
Yeah, and just kind of went away from that. And then that's when I kind of really got into like editing. I shifted a little bit, and then full circle got back into
soccer
sports a little bit. Yeah,
sports.
Yeah, it's nice. There's value to I think market yourself on a bunch of different platforms. Like specifically today, like TikTok is, although it's like super easy to consume content really fast.
God, I love that app, dude.
It's so addicting.
So easy to scroll.
Right? It's so bad. But like you can grow super easily on there.
Are you on TikTok?
A little bit.
Okay, cool.
I'm not, like I said, like another thing. I hope this is a good thing that's being documented so I can say it and now I'm accountable. When I graduate, I want to like really dive into TikTok.
Come hang out with us and make TikToks with me.
And I don't mean like fucking dancing. Like I mean like actually you know, posting like my work and like dope
Been trying
ways.
to rip one every day. It's so hard.
It is hard. It's difficult. I would get in like streams where like this past year I've like, I'll make like 4 just like one day or like and then like post them and one would pop and then be sick and then I just wouldn't make any more.
Yeah,
I think it's been the most important thing for me to grow like the community.
Yeah,
the TikTok and dude, in our pod, like our pod clips have been ripping on TikTok.
I bet.
I just posted one. It has like 190K.
Yeah, like 200K, and it's crazy because like everyone was shitting on that app when I was telling Kostas this a minute ago. Like me and my friend Kyle would go into our fucking frat basement so no one would see us when TikTok first came out because our boys would clown us and we would fucking make TikToks in the basement. We were trying to figure out the app and I was like,
I love that.
I was like, bro, they're dancing. I'm like, we can't dance, Kyle. We can't dance. What do we do, dude? And I'm like, I'm like making a video edit. It gets like 4 views. I'm like, fuck. And I see Little Huddy like, and I'm like, dude, 4 million views on this kid, you know? So it's been great though, because now I feel like we've figured it out. Kind of, not really. Yeah, I mean, but like we're posting on it. I think the only thing that you can do that you can actually control is the only thing you can control on social media is how often you show up to bat.
Yeah,
that's it.
Yeah,
I mean, there's no reason, and like because it's so easy, and I get down on myself too. If like I post a banger and it does like whatever, I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? And we post a pod clip, it gets 150,000 views. It's like you know what I mean? It's like you really just have to post it because you liked it and move on and just keep going because there's no reason in getting down on yourself if it doesn't do whatever you think it's well or whatever that means, you know?
Fair enough.
What do you think about, how do you want to grow your brand even more, or do you give a fuck about that? Or is it more just about like trying to get better clientele once you're done with school and you're going to have a substantial more amount of time to be able to do something like that if you wanted to? Like YouTube, does that cross your mind at all?
So much time. It's
so much
tough.
time.
It is a bitch of a platform.
I don't know, but it is great because like you can really build
an audience and a community on YouTube.
Yeah. So there is value in that, but it's like, how much time do you want to allocate to that?
Totally.
Are you doing brand deals at all on social? Like, are you using social to like, are you reaching out to brands or people to connect or to get work? Is a lot of work coming to you through social?
Some's coming through social, a lot through referrals. Just people, just network has been
Which is
great.
the best marketing.
It's incredible. Yeah, it's just people you've worked with in the past refer you, or people see you on social, like, you know, which is great. To your question earlier about do I want to grow my brand or clientele? I guess kind of both. It's like, I guess kind of the same. I think I want like my brand to kind of be the work. And you mentioned earlier, you said it's like all about the at bat. And I've been dealing with this a lot because I feel like I really want my work to be at a level that I'm like proud of, but that's like so hard as an artist to like,
I think it's so hard.
It's impossible almost.
I've tried to remove myself from it.
Really?
Yeah, because I think that, okay, say a year I make 7 or 8 videos, or maybe let's call it 12. Say I make 12 videos and I'm like, this is like my best shit.
Yeah.
Okay, but you can't fucking post 12 videos and expect my brand to grow at all or my community to grow.
Right.
So then when I finally was like, all right, dude, fuck it. If I'm going to rip a TikTok, I don't care if it's perfect. I don't care if it's like polished. It's on my phone. Like, dude, because literally like 2 days ago, I posted this video took me like 3 minutes to make, 40,000 views. And I'm like, that just bugs you though.
Yeah,
because as a creative person, it's like, dude, I'll spend 2 weeks making the craziest like LeBron All-Star video that doesn't do anything. So it's like you really can't attach yourself to the views, and you have to be like, okay, like I'm gonna try and make my best work when it's my time to make my best work.
That's the thing too. I think if you did care about the views though, like you'd probably make the stupid shit that would get the views.
Probably.
So like I'm really driven by the work. Like I really like the final product.
Okay, nice.
Because I can be like, yo, look what I did. Like look at this. Look at this thing that's like I had this vision, and this is and that's kind of where I want my brand to go.
So would you rather work on like one video a month and make it crazy? Okay, dope.
Definitely.
And you know that. So
yeah,
that's
because
like,
almost like anyone can put out a ton of shit.
Yeah,
like,
totally.
The pool of people that are able to put in or make something that has such depth is like getting smaller with this, like
100%.
So
with this social media
and
like,
I
takeover.
I think art, like I really, it's almost like the definition of like what I find to be like worthy of like art is like the depth of like it.
I like that. Okay.
Because, and that's just a personal thing. That's not like, but yeah, because it's like if it's too easy, it's almost like that didn't take any effort or like doesn't. What does it say? Like, I don't know. You know, obviously art doesn't have to have a meaning genuinely, but like it's a lot. I think feels more fulfilling personally if you like put a lot of energy and time and like meaning into it.
100%.
Yeah.
But it shows, dude. Like your fucking videos are amazing, and like,
oh, thank you, bro.
Your editing's crazy. Your fucking VFX, like After Effects. If you watch your videos, you can tell that you put a lot of fucking time and energy into that. And I often think that like, I think there's something to be said if you're trying to grow your brand on social media to stay super consistent. But I also think it's really important to like have a few pieces of work that you're like, I'm going to spend, for example, like you said, going back to the video where you're like, I could either put like 50% time and energy into this, or I could put a lot more time, give this my fucking all, and have this be a piece that I'm super confident and proud of. Yeah. And I think that often, or that is also super important to do, because you can put out the content that, you know, takes you a couple seconds or 15 minutes to make in your bedroom for TikTok or Instagram Reels, whatever it may be. But then it's like to really be working on, you know, with bigger clients, for example, the national team, it's like they want to see that crazy higher end work.
Exactly. And that was the thing like that was interesting, because the thing that got me hired wasn't the thing I was doing, which is interesting. It's weird, right?
Wait.
So like the thing that got me hired was that crazy video.
Okay. Oh, okay. Gotcha.
And then when I was hired, I was brought on. It's interesting because the gap between like the creative field and I don't know, business or corporate world is there's a little bit of a gap in understanding of what takes, people watch a video or a movie or whatever, and it's the same thing. It's the same amount of time. They don't know how much time went into this video versus this video.
Sure.
So, it's like, oh, we love this video. We would love you to work for us and make videos like this. Oh, sick. Oh, you want me to do this like on a daily or weekly basis? This is not possible. This is not possible.
My hands don't work like that.
I wish I could. Yeah. I'm with you. I would love to do this. You gotta up the budget a lot though.
That's funny.
Yeah, and so there is a bit of discrepancy in like that, which is kind of sucks because like people might not always appreciate it, but it still is cool to know that they do enjoy, like they appreciate the content. They may not appreciate what went into it.
And oftentimes people don't know how much time went into it.
Yeah, they have no idea.
I think most of the time they don't.
They don't know. Yeah, let's be real. Like, what did we? I didn't know before I got into this. Like, how hard it was to make a hype. How long it took to make a hyperlapse.
Do you find yourself like if you see a video, you're like, oh, I know this dude took so long on that. You know what I mean? Do you find yourself doing that, like having a deeper appreciation for when you see it, like a video board video?
You ever watch a Gibson Hazard video?
Oh yeah.
You're like, God.
I'm like, this is a whole team of dudes. This is a whole team of dudes working on this shit. This snake, I'm like, the scales in this snake took a few weeks to do just the scales. Yeah.
Yeah, because now like, oh, that wasn't just done in Premiere.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, they made that whole scene.
Yeah, exactly. The camera angles, the whole 9 yards.
Right.
100%.
How did you get so good at editing? Was it, were you watching YouTube tutorials, trial and error? Like, how did you get to the point of like having your stuff as fucking good as it is?
Well, it's weird because I often don't think I'm like still like that good, but I appreciate that.
Of course.
And hopefully, I get to a point where I say that again, but I edit a lot. In college, I would literally be up, like I would rip coffee, be up till like 5 a.m.
I love it.
Like we call those sketch boy hours.
Sketch boy hours. Yep. I lived those for like two years straight.
Let's go.
That was my life.
Let's go.
And how much of that was like you staying up just like editing stuff for fun? Was it work that you were doing?
Doing stuff for fun is the easiest way to get good.
I totally agree with that.
Because like what else, like, and that's why I'm still doing stuff for fun, quote unquote. Because it's like it's fun, you're trying to push yourself creatively and like what can you make.
Just get lost in the edit.
And it's kind of bad because it sounds weird. It's kind of bad because I'm getting to a point where I really have a drive to make really really like cool shit. Which is great, but it's like I'm limited.
Sure.
So like I'm almost like, but there's no price that like can like get to that. Like I just want something that's so sick, where like you watch something and you're like, yo, that's amazing.
I get a lot of questions. I rarely use After Effects.
Yeah.
Talk to me about there's people listening that definitely want to learn how to do. I get asked all the time, crazy effects, and I've seen your effects and they're really badass. I still do think though that 95%, maybe 98% of people that use effects fuck them up.
Really? Yeah.
But I think like the Gibson Hazard, like I saw your videos, they're fucking really sick. There's like, I don't have a complaint about the edit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But do you think that, how can someone learn how to do that in a tasteful way?
Right.
Because
that's
everyone fucks that up.
Nah, dude, I'm the same. It's cool when you learn something new and you're like, I didn't know how to do that. And now you do. And you're like, yo, I almost like leveled up a little bit.
Totally.
Yeah. And so it's like really, I think you want to use that in an edit or something to be like, yo, like look what I can do. But you have to, and I've done this before, like there's been times I think this is how you grow, like in general, when you're working on a piece, you try things out, even if you're going to toss them, be okay to toss them.
Nice.
Be like, step back from a different perspective and be like, is this a good video? Genuinely. Like, do you like the video? Not, it's good because I made it. Like, do you like the video? Would you like say this is good? Would you like say like this is a video on social that's like quality? And so I think you have to be able to like try out things, test things, and have like the discretion to be like, no, that is terrible. Why did I do that? Like I've done that before, like literally thrown away probably hours of work and been like, that was like, because it's hard, you have to test things because they might work and they might look sick. But yeah, like the more you do that, I think you realize what works, what doesn't, and the more familiar you are with like tools and effects, the quicker you'll be able to do that. Like I'm not at a point yet where I'm like super familiar with 3D, but I want to be. at a point. So like,
is that what you're like? That's what you really want to get into right now?
I think that like just opens up a ton of doors.
And is that what platform would you be using to do that? So After Effects
or Cinema 4D?
There's Cinema 4D or Blender.
Okay.
This is good because now we know someone who's fucking dank at it.
Yeah, now we can give you a call when we need some help.
We talk about this, how like I'll look at something like a Gibson Hazard and be in
But there's
awe.
levels, let me tell you.
There's
levels to, not only is there levels to editing, there's levels to 3D like no other. Yo, that stuff, like, you seen Marvel?
Yeah, true. Yeah, literally.
That's so
You know how many people worked on making Thanos?
Yeah, exactly. That's crazy.
I look at that stuff and I'm in awe and I respect the fuck out of it.
Yeah.
But my mind, I go, I have no desire to even learn how to do that. I'd rather, if I need it for a video, hire someone to do it.
Right. I'm at that point right now, but I want to get to the point of like in the meantime, I'm like, okay, I'll delegate and I'll direct and for a personal project to get hired. Cause eventually I want to direct and not have to touch that stuff.
Oh, really? So you want to direct?
Of course. Yeah. Okay. Cause then you don't have to get in the nitty gritty. Like you can have the vision and still like delegate.
Sleep at a normal hour.
Right. Yeah.
No more sketch.
No more sketch boy hours.
Be sane. No more sketch boy hours. Yeah. I think you're a much more powerful director if you are at least somewhat capable of doing.
Totally agree.
And can communicate better. And that's the biggest thing, is just being able to communicate your vision. That's what I've learned. It's like been super difficult because it goes getting it to, like VFX artists are like, oh, I can do this and I can do this. And you're like, okay, well, can we, maybe substitute the image texture and like swap out blah, blah, blah. And I can send you this. And it's like a very collaborative thing. Like I can send you all the assets. I've already made everything for you. You just got to make it like look better, like, do your thing. That saves a lot of time. And so you can still have your vision, but they can like polish it off. And it's like amazingly more beneficial than if you're just like, hey, I want you to do this thing, look like this, and then they make it and they're like, that's not really what I wanted.
Oh yeah.
And that's like so much time. And
well, oftentimes like a client doesn't know how, like, what goes into making a certain effect or whatever.
Yeah.
And if you can work with someone who knows, who's used a camera before, knows how much time goes into editing, like it makes the process a lot smoother and more collaborative. And I think that leads to a better end result.
Right. Definitely.
I was going through a little bit deep dive of your Instagram, and I thought it was really cool how I saw you posted a photo with Matt Como back in like 2018. You were like, the caption was like, it was like, so nice to meet you.
Yeah.
And now it seems like he's commenting on your stuff. Seems like your boys. Also seems like you have a pretty good network out here in LA. And so as someone who was not originally from here and moved out here, wanting to do the film and photography stuff, or I guess more so film, talk to me about how you've been able to grow your network and how you went about that. Because a lot of kids, want to move to a major city and might not know a ton of people when they first move out here, but want to, connect with other creators. Mm-hmm. So maybe talk about, or if you could talk about a little bit of how you've been able to grow your network and, going from maybe being a fan of somebody's work like Matt Como or somebody else and, now being friends with him.
Yeah. I think like relationships, I mean, they're very valuable, almost like probably the most valuable thing you have. And I didn't really have access to, hanging out, chilling, meeting, being like in person, living in Ohio, it's like you said. So like, I think building the relationship on social, I mean, our work is all basically on social. And so starting whatever that may be, like supporting them, like posting a bunch of like their work, being like, yo bro, like I love your stuff. It's amazing. Is all great. And like, that's what I think a lot of people do. And, when you have someone you aspire to be, you're very supportive and like in praise of them. And that goes a long way, but I think like everyone's doing that. And I think it comes to a point where like, unless you like have a face to the name, we're all see their work or whatever online. But when you meet someone in person and can get a vibe of like how they are and who they are and like, oh, this is like Aidan. I remember you from like, whatever. Mm-hmm. Or, oh, this person who knows this person. Making yourself relatable is like huge. It's like, oh, someone, like
just
like
having mutual connections.
Yeah, mutual connections is everything. It's so funny that that was like my first the photo you saw with Matt was like my first quote unquote like music festival I shot, and I like snuck in.
Nice.
That's sick.
I like snuck in, and Matt was shooting Justin Caruso, I think. I showed. It's funny you mentioned that, bro. I showed him that photo like a couple weeks ago. He was like laughing. He was like, "Oh my god, that's so funny." Of course, like he's like my age. I was like he's my age now. I was like 19 at the time.
Oh my god,
it was so wild. And I like hopped up on stage to shoot like I didn't have any bands or art, like anything.
That's so
like,
funny.
So I don't think Matt was just chilling on stage, and I like hopped up to like shoot a shot of Justin, and the security guard immediately just like, yo, get off stage right now. And then Matt just watched a little 19-year-old kid get fucking thrown off the stage.
Great.
That's amazing.
Right after I had been like talking to him, be like, yo, I love your work, bro.
That's
like,
so funny.
And yeah, so it's funny though. It's so cool, like full circle, like now to like be in LA and almost like, you know, have respect from these people is great and blessing. But I think I think that's another thing going on, though, like respect thing is like, that's, I think, everyone's goal. I think I have a long way to go, and that's like the dream. But it's cool, like just having like, you know, constant communication and just like respect from these guys is super sick.
And connecting with them though in LA, was it just like through DM? Like, would you just reach out to them like when you were out here to be like, yo, I'd love to, you know, maybe like link and shoot or grab a coffee, or like how were you able to go from?
I would always hit those like love to grab a coffee.
Ooh, nice. Okay.
Always. But those, I mean, you send that, like, they're so busy, like,
yeah,
and they've got shit to do. Like, realistically, like, you're not gonna get a response. But I think I like, as I came out to LA as much as I could from Ohio. I would, on spring break, I would come out to LA just to like network or meet people, link up with whatever. And that's actually like last year. It's what I did. I met my roommate Jacob.
Great guy. Love Jacob. Shout out Jacob.
Shout out Jacob. He's the man. That was super helpful coming here, having someone who's already in the scene. I mean, I kind of, you know, had mutual friends, followers like on social, but nothing really like in person. So it was great to like make that connection. And I think it was just like a domino effect, you know, first couple months I was out here, it was just like, oh, you know, you go to a couple events, you meet people, and, you know, going back to the...
Would you go to like bars, or like what did that look like to like actually finally get to where you had like, oh, I have creative friends now? You know?
Yeah, no.
That took a minute for me to like actually get people that I was like, okay, these, like, I could hit you up and you're good at what you do, and like we're all kind of doing the same little thing. Like, what did that look like for you?
Was it Jacob introducing you to a lot of these people?
Jacob definitely helped a lot. I think the community is like pretty well knit.
So just like going to events out here in LA and like kind of
going to events. I think like it's wild. Like one person knows another person. Like, do you, for example, like I have a friend. His name's Dylan Bradshaw. I don't know if any of you know. Okay,
it's so the homie.
Yeah. He's actually from Ohio too. Like,
nice.
I met him out here at a networking event. It's super weird.
Gotcha.
And I was like, yo, you live 15 minutes away from my hometown.
That's
He's
so
like,
funny.
Oh wow. So then in Ohio boys, you meet Dylan introduced you to another buddy.
Dylan introduced me to, you know, Mitch Mullins, and Mitch, you know, Matt, and then it's just like
just a domino.
It's like he knows him, and his community is like, oh, he knows him, and like just slowly like the tree grows, you know.
Totally.
I do think though that you having really great work paired with like being a cool kid and being a nice guy, like when you do end up meeting these people in person, and they're obviously going to check out your work, I think that's another tip for networking is like you were saying, like your work is kind of everything, right?
Yeah.
So if you connect with someone, or let's say I'll get reached out to from like a bunch of kids on DM being like, yo, let's shoot sometime or whatever. And then I look at their work and I'm like, your work's just not that great, and it's not beneficial to me. I mean, I don't mean to be an asshole, but it's like,
I have a funny story about that actually. This might be good.
So
Rip
like,
it. Yeah. So
real quick, I was just gonna say, like, I think it's
keep going. Yeah, sorry.
Like a big networking tip is having really good fucking work.
Yeah,
because everyone wants to work with people who are fucking talented. Yeah. So like even if you don't have the craziest network, if you can get your work to a place where it's really fucking respectable and really great, people are gonna want to link up with you. So I think that's like a low key networking tip is like maybe you don't need to like meet everybody in person, like be out all the time, but like if you can get your work to a really great place, that's a huge tip for networking.
Because they want to work. They'd be people like, dude, I could have Jake here come and hang out with me, and he's like down to shoot something, whatever, you know.
Yeah.
So tell me the story.
Yeah, and I think, I mean, I was out in Ohio, so that was kind of my mindset for the longest time. It's weird how that shifted. Like in Columbus, I was like, dude, I need my work to be the best, like the best that can possibly be. Otherwise, people won't fuck with you. Like, that's the only way. And then coming out here, like it was more of like a switch of like, okay, it's very valuable to like show face, meet all these people, be a regular person that these people are seeing.
Totally.
And they're like, oh, then you become familiar, and it's like, oh, that's the person. Oh, and his work's sick. It's like, dope,
Exactly.
cool.
And he's
it's
cool,
like,
blah, blah, blah. We can be friends.
and he's incredibly good looking. Wow. No. Nah,
So funny.
So great. And he's super humble.
I don't know if I want to work with him or date him.
No, but yeah. Oh, okay, yeah. Going back to the story, shout out Roy Kramer. But my family's like good friends with his family. And so it was like he's like the OG guy that got me into this stuff. Or at least he's the man that I think really allowed me to see that this was like a viable job option. If that makes sense.
Okay.
That's sick because he's the fucking OG.
Yeah,
he's
OG.
someone who we all
OG,
look up to.
Right. Rory's the GOAT. And I was like just starting out. I was in my senior year of high school. Didn't even own a camera. Maybe a GoPro.
She's like 17, 18?
18, yeah.
Okay.
And his brother Terry, love Terry's the man. He came to my graduation party and he was like, yo, like he obviously knew I was a huge fan of Rory's. Slid me. This is good advice on what not to do, by the
way. Great.
He slid me Rory's number. He was like, yo, like text Rory, like would love to. This is great. It's a great learning curve from relationships.
Okay.
And I'm like, literally the next day, I'm like, yo, Rory, like love your stuff. Would always like love to link up or like work. I said something crazy. Like would love to like work on whatever. Dude, I had like zero anything made. Like nothing.
Just
like,
the GoPro.
I think I had a travel video I made from like Cancun, of my spring break.
Just like,
and he was like, just shaking
ass.
Literally, I was like, I would love to like work with you or do something or what. I don't even know. And he responds.
Text. This is a text.
It's a text. It's like text. Saturday, the next day after my graduation party.
Pete, my 6th spring break video. Let's work together.
He goes, do you have any work? I kid you not.
You sent the spring break video.
I sent the link.
You're a beast.
No response.
Oh, left on red.
Yeah. But it's all good. It's all good. We met up years later for coffee and it's full circle. God, I hope he doesn't. I think that thread is deleted. God bless. But
that's so funny.
Yeah. So
he probably has had a new phone since then.
I hope so.
change his number.
That is hilarious.
But yeah, that's the thing is like people, you got to treat these people. And Rory so told me this himself. He's like, he's told me like moments where he's been in the company of other people he's really wanted to work with. And, you know, his work speaks for itself. He's the man. Like he could easily be like, hey, I've done this, I've done this, I've done this. But he was like, he's told me, he's like, oh, it wasn't the right time. You know, he was on a hike and, you know, met someone he really wanted to work with. Didn't say anything about his job or anything. Just like super cool guy. And then he saw him later at a party and it was the right time. And someone introduced him, and which is way better than introducing yourself.
Totally.
And that's like, I think so important information.
You're so right, dude. I think that was a great story.
Do you know what I mean?
Seriously, yeah, 100%.
And thankfully, Rory's such a cool dude that he probably doesn't give a fuck. But and I was young and naive and thought, you know, I had whatever. But it was a great lesson. Didn't hurt at all, and definitely now I know how to present myself to people in the future, and you know, at least have some work now to back it up. But like, you know, don't always like go to other people and be like, I want to work with you, I want to work with you, I want to work with you. Be in a position where they will want to work with you. And it doesn't, you don't always have to force it, you know? Like you shouldn't want to work with everyone. Even if you are super inspired by them, it might not fit, you know?
Your time, you got to know when your time, that's such an important skill.
So huge.
Yeah, I definitely made the same mistake.
Think big picture. The next day I was like, yo, let's go. Like, I'm 18.
My ticket, dude. It's
I'm
like,
18,
I got it.
bro. Like,
I'm going to LA. I'm going to work with Rory Kramer, and I'm going to travel with the Chainsmokers. With my GoPro.
With my iPhone.
That's lit.
Yeah.
If you need any sick like crowd shots of these girls going wild on spring break on tour, dude, that's my forte.
Like, I crush it. I made one video about it. Yeah. That's a great story, dude. You know, to kind of like wrap up the pod, I want to talk about you know, what, like there's a million projects that I'd love to work on, and I know it's hard to say one. I know it's hard to say one project that you really want to work on.
Yeah.
But what would be something that you're like, because I had planned to create stuff for a really fucking long time. And that's what's really cool about our job is we can make shit. I think there's no limit to like, I could be 75 and be like, all right, now move that camera over there.
It's a lifelong sport.
Yeah, which is awesome, which is really cool. But what is a project that you're like, ooh, I would really fucking love to work on this, and that would make me really happy right now in this current moment. I think this will be cool too to look back on in 5 years when you do it. So. You know,
what's like a dream job,
like something you haven't done yet.
That you haven't done yet. That you want to do.
I ask my question that a lot. I ask myself that a lot. I don't know if I can give like a.
I don't necessarily need like a brand. I'm not looking for a brand, but I'm looking for like, oh, I directed a shoot with a 45 person crew. Whatever that looks like for you.
I think I've expressed like interest in doing like a short film. That I think this is more of like a personal thing I want to just complete, like a nice bucket list thing, similar to maybe what Matt did with his short, but that's like probably similar but not the same, but
so short
lengthwise, something like
an
that.
hour,
like an hour, a proper, I don't want to say narrative, but like a proper longer form, very high production piece that will probably take me many years and be very, very painful to do, but
fulfilling as fuck.
Fulfilling as fuck.
I love that.
That I think is probably the one thing I can say I'm going to do. There's also a bunch of like maybe smaller creative stuff that's sick, but I think that'll definitely be the most fulfilling.
I love that.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be next year, you know?
Yeah.
If the timing's not
right.
Dude,
that's what I think's so fun about this shit though, is like I have the same type of like I want to do something like that or whatever, right? And it's like that almost keeps me making stuff.
Right.
Because I'm like the hunt of like making this one video that I'm like, and it's funny is I'm like, that I know for a fact it won't fulfill me, but in my head I'm like, that'll fulfill me a little bit.
Yeah,
I'm like,
because once you're done.
Yeah, exactly. Once I'm done, I'm gonna be like, oh, let's go. But then I know there'll be something else. There'll be something else that comes on. That's what's really fun about this job is you're always getting I'll meet somebody or I'll go somewhere and be like, that's a story that needs to be told. And then it sparks it all over again. And that's what's really fun about this whole game that we get to play.
Yeah.
You know, it's always changing. There's always shit to learn.
Right.
I always feel like I'm a student of this game.
Yep.
And as good as we get at it, like we all make badass stuff. Everyone that comes on this show makes dope shit. Otherwise they wouldn't be on the show, you know? And I think it's really cool to be like, we're only at, I think I'm only 10% of the way, maybe not even 10% of how good I can actually get at this whole thing. Like, how old are you?
23.
23. Okay, I'm 24. How old are you?
26.
And I feel like we're just babies in the game of like, dude, you can imagine if we're 50 still when we're still making stuff at 50, how good you'll be at 50. And
it's a lifelong.
It's awesome, you know. It's really cool to be able to like dedicate yourself to something like that.
Yeah.
Well, I'm excited to see it when it comes out.
Yeah, I can't wait to see it.
Come to the premiere.
Me too. Oh, definitely.
Where can the people find you on social media?
Aidan Minton on Instagram and pretty much everything else. Yeah.
There it is.
Oh yeah. Thanks for coming on, man.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in to another episode of the 505 podcast. If you're still here, please tag a screenshot on the story and tag our boy Aidan and Kostas and myself. Don't tag Chase in this one.
Yeah.
In the 505 podcast, and we'll see you guys all next week. Peace.
Peace.